Hi everyone, welcome to yoga. This is a beginner's class, it'll be about 30 minutes. I've changed my setting because I'd realised the TV was in the back of the other one, and also the mat's now on the side, so hopefully you'll be able to see me better. So when you're ready, let's get going. So we're going to start in a seated position. And just sit in whatever position is good for you. So you can sit cross-legged. If you've got a cushion or a block, you can sit under that. I recommend you go back to my intro video about what equipment to have around you to make your experience as comfortable as possible. So we're just going to sit nice and comfortably. Just allow your hands to rest on your knees, sitting nice and upright through the spine. Allow your sit bones to really connect down into the mat or onto your block or onto your cushion. You could even start, because you're at home, you might be able to find a chair that you could do some yoga in to adjust some things. So just start however's comfortable for you. Have a little wriggle, close your eyes, and just become aware of your breathing. So if it's okay for you today, breathe in and out through your nose. Allow your breath to be natural and easy. And just start to notice the gentle rise and fall of your belly. So as you inhale, feeling the navel rise. And as you exhale, allowing the navel to draw back to your spine. And if you prefer to feel that movement, you can always place your hands on your belly if that's good for you. So as you inhale, I want you to visualise like a 6-month-old baby sat there, very relaxed in its belly, allowing that breath to fill the belly area. And as you exhale, allowing the breath to draw back towards your spine. So if you've had a busy or stressful day, you might find it takes you a few moments to connect with this breath. And just notice how, as you start to tune into the breathing, how you can direct the breath down into the belly. And as you start to become more comfortable with your breathing, just start to notice any areas where you're holding tension. So it's really common when we sit like this that we'll hold tension in the inner creases of our hips or the groin area. So maybe just allow yourself to not slump into the back, but just allow the tailbone to tilt under slightly to see if you can release some space into the hip creases. Or maybe you're someone who holds a lot of tension in their shoulders. So see if you can really allow those shoulders to release down and back as you breathe. And then when you're ready, softly opening your eyes, just tune into your surroundings. And then we're just going to take some gentle stretches. So just allow your hand to come down to the left and inhale, just allow your right arm to come up. Keep focusing on drawing the shoulder down. And allow yourself just to float gently over to the side. So just getting a nice gentle stretch through the right side of the body. And then inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, allowing the arm to float down. So see if you can connect your breath with your movement. So inhale, allow your left arm to float up. Shoulder stays down. And exhale, just slide the right hand away from you as you come over to the side. And again, make sure that right shoulder doesn't creep up either. It doesn't need to get involved. Inhale, coming up, and exhale, allow that left arm to come down. Just repeat that on the other side again. And as you come over to the side, make sure you keep your right sit bone seated down and that right knee drawing down towards the earth. Don't let it start to come up and over. You want to stay rooted down. Inhale, coming up again, And exhale, just flow with your breath. Find nice, easy, soft movement. Inhale, coming back up. And then just allow your fingers to become in front of you. And then as you exhale, just slide the fingers away. So I want you to keep rooting down through your sit bones. So make sure the bottom doesn't come off the floor, you start rolling forwards. Make sure your sit bones stay rooted down. And we're just going to take a nice gentle forward bend. So this may be long enough for you for where you are right now. Make sure those shoulders, the space in the shoulders stays open, and just allow your head to drop towards the mat. And while you're here, just allow yourself to nod with your head and shake your head like you're saying no. And just try and release any pent-up tension that you're holding in your neck or shoulders from that space. Let your head be really heavy. Really heavy. And then inhale, walk the hands back in towards you. And take the hands behind you. So you want your fingertips pointing in behind you. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. Fingertips pointing in. And you can just lift and open the chest. So you really want to lift the chest forwards. And if it's okay for you, you can look up just a little bit. So if you can see the wall, where the wall meets the ceiling in front of you, maybe just look as high as that and keep breathing into the chest. If you want to take the hands flat to the mat, you can. Just a little deeper arch into the back, but keep lifting through the chest. Try and open up the front of the body as much as you can. And imagine you've got a pencil in between your shoulder blades and you're just squeezing them together. And if that feels nice and comfortable for you, you may even want to allow your hips to lift forwards, lifting your bottom off the mat. Feel your buttocks tense as you release and open into the front of the hips. Keep pushing down into the earth. So this is just an option if you just want a little bit more opening through the front of the hips and through the chest. Keep pushing into the hands, lifting the chest. And then exhale, slowly allowing the bottom to come back to your mat. Coming back onto your fingertips. Okay. So you're going to take your right hand to your opposite knee, allow your left arm to come behind you. We're just going to take some gentle twists. So deep breath in, notice I'm still looking forward at you, and I'm allowing my torso to start turning to my left. So what you can't see is my fingers are just walking behind me, and I'm just using my hand on the outside of that knee like a lever. And when I've gone as far as I feel is good for me today, I'll just allow my head to turn. Not necessarily to look over the shoulder, but just to come to a point that feels comfortable for my neck. And while you're here, just hold and breathe. So twists are really good for releasing tension through the abdominal area and flushing that whole area with fresh blood. So if this is a space you hold tension in, this is a lovely way to release more space into that area. And then inhale, just allow your head to come back forwards, release your arms, allow them to come all the way around, take your left hand to the right knee, right hand goes behind you, and again, start spiraling around. Use the fingertips on the right hand behind you, and just allow your left hand on that knee to act like a lever. Just allow yourself to talk your way around. When you've gone as far as you want to, just allow your head to turn, nice and easy. So areas to watch for here are shoulders again. Make sure they don't creep up towards your ears, allow them to be relaxed and down. And make sure that you're not putting any tension into the neck. You might feel a little stretch through the side of the neck, but if it gets too much or if you've got any issues with frozen shoulder or neck problems, just back off. And if I haven't reminded you enough, just make sure your breath stays nice and long and even. And then allow your head to turn to the front again. Release your arms. And just hold here for a moment. Take a couple of deep breaths again and just notice. Notice what's changed, if anything, in your body. Hopefully you're feeling like you've created or found a space in yourself that's always been there, but maybe you've just neglected today. Okay, and then when you're ready, we're going to come over onto all fours. So, if being on your knees is uncomfortable, you can always put padding under your knees, or a cushion is really good. And I want you to spread your fingers as wide apart as you can. So your wrists are directly under your shoulders, knees directly under your hips. And my top's a little bit baggy, but I'm in a nice neutral spine position here, which means I'm not dipping into my back. So often I see people do this. Or I'm not arching up into my spine. We might go into those places in a minute, but I want you to start feeling like you're holding your navel to your spine, and you've got a nice flat back position, you've got a natural curve through that lower back, and if someone was to come and rest a tray on your back, it'd stay there nice and comfortably. And what I want you to do here is just to connect, I'm flapping my feet around so I'm accentuating it, I want you to connect the tops of your feet into the mat and your shins into the mat. And notice how that engages your core. So you're drawing your navel to your spine and you're pushing down into your hands. And I want you to feel how strong that feels for you. So you're really connecting to those abdominal muscles before we do anything. So already we're working here. It looks like we're doing nothing, but we're working. Feeling those muscles engaging, pushing down into the mat. Face looking straight down so that the back of the neck is nice and long. And then we're going to take some cat-cows. So you're going to inhale, allow the belly to sag as much as you can, and allow your head to look up to the ceiling. So it's like you're trying to pinch that imaginary pencil again between your shoulder blades as the belly sinks to the floor. And then exhale, push into the hands, reverse the movement into a cat pose, and arching into the space between your shoulder blades. So we're really trying to accentuate this movement by opening up the space in the shoulders, pushing down into the earth, and make sure you stay connected through your feet and your shins. Inhale, reversing again. This is so good for opening up the spine, especially if you've been sat all day. A lot of us are doing that at the moment. I know I'm sitting around more working from home. It's no good for our spines at all, or our hips. So really, this is a lovely, lovely way to say hello to your body. You might not have been carrying around with you all day and not even notice. It's just merrily coming on the journey with us. And very often we forget to stop, take notice, and this is a problem. Good, so just take one more of each. See if you can find a little bit more space. Good, and then coming back to a neutral spine position. Now, we're going to come back into an extended child's pose, just to open up our backs a little bit more. So, option here, if this is an uncomfortable position for you, you can always put a block or a cushion under your bottom, and you can make fists with your hands and place your head onto your fist. If you can sit quite comfortably here, with your bottom on your heels, I want you to stretch your arms forward as much as you can and allow your forehead to come down to the mat. And I want you to find your breath nice and deep. I've just lifted my head so you can hear me a bit clearer, but I want you to keep your head down or onto your hands and feel the connection of your breath onto your thighs. Make your breath as long and deep as you can, and keep spreading space through the shoulder blades. Good, and then inhale, coming back to all fours. Walk your hands back underneath your wrists. I should have also said, if you've got any wrist problems, you can do these positions on your fists as well, so don't suffer if it's not comfortable for you. Okay, so from here we're going to lift into down facing dog. So we're going to tuck our toes and we're going to bring our bottom back towards our heels and we're going to push up towards the ceiling. So you notice here I'm keeping my knees bent. you're used to yoga and you're used to down dog, and you want to take straight leg position straight away, feel free. But I want to encourage everyone to focus on the alignment through their back. So I'm looking for a straight line from my hands or my wrists all the way up to my tailbone, and my head is just going to hang between my arms. And then I'm going to bring my awareness to my legs, and I might pedal 1 foot at a time towards the mat, opening out through the backs of the knees. And you want to make sure your feet are hip distance apart. Ignore me moving my head around, that's just so I can ensure you can hear me. So your head or your face should be looking towards your feet or towards your navel. Good. And at any point this gets too much, you can always come back down and take child's pose, okay? So if you can stay with here a little bit more. And then from here, we're just going to walk our feet very slowly towards our hands. Now for some of us, this might be far enough, or you may have already gone far enough already. So walk your hands back to meet your feet and come into a forward fold. So I'm just going to walk back to the front of my mat. So here again, I'm going to keep my knees bent, and I find a really nice way to release your back is to keep the knees bent and try and keep your rib cage connected with your thighs. Often you see people trying to straighten their legs and they end up kind of arching their spine like this. And you can see all the weight going back, my bottom's behind my heels. I really want to encourage you to keep your weight firmly down on the feet, equally spread between the pads of your toes and the heels of your feet, and just allow your head to hang. I don't care if your legs are straight, I'm just interested you feel a good stretch in the back of the hamstrings. And I want you to imagine a waterfall coming down your spine, down and over the crown of the head towards the floor. And maybe as you get more comfortable with that, you'll notice you can straighten your legs a little bit more. So holding your elbows here. And again, if you've got tight hamstrings, you might find you're more in this position. And that's okay too, because you're still probably feeling a good stretch in the back of the hamstrings. So just do what feels good for you. And then allow the hands to hang towards the mat, and very slowly you're going to inhale. I want you to imagine your spine is like a bicycle chain. I want you to imagine you've got weights in your fingers, they're really heavy, and you're slowly rolling up, 1 vertebra at a time. Shoulders are still hanging forwards, head still hanging forwards. Feeling your pelvis coming up over your thighs, rib cage coming up. And then lastly, your head comes to rest. Take a couple of deep breaths here. So your choice, I like to keep my eyes closed and find the connection in this new space. We're up on our feet, we're in Tadasana, the mountain pose. So I really want you to feel, and you may have noticed, and I go on about this in my classes, lift your toes when you first come into the pose. Lift the arches of your feet. And notice how that connects you more strongly down into the earth. And then gather that energy up into your legs. Feel the connection from your feet coming all the way up into your thighs, into your pelvis. Feel your tailbone just dropping down naturally beneath you. You feel really grounded and supported here. Allow your hands to be heavy. And then place your toes back down, but just keep that sense of liftedness through the feet, through the legs. And then allow your eyes to open. Good. So from here, we're going to take a couple of standing poses. So I'm going to step to the back of my mat, just so I can stay with you. And I'm going to ask you to step to the right. So turn your right foot out and turn your left toes in. And your heels of your feet are in a line. Some yoga mats now have a line through them, that could be really helpful. And then I want you to check in with your hips. What tends to happen is the hips will kink over, which is good for some poses, like going into triangle. But I want you to stay with the hips nice and central. So my hips are facing straight in front, so is my head, and I'm all in line with my spine. The only thing that's turned out is my right foot. And then we're going to bend into that right knee. And notice I'm using my hand just to run along the inside of the thigh. Notice my shoulders are still over my hips. I haven't gone forward with the arm. And then straighten the leg again. So just do that a couple of times. Bending the knee, straightening the legs. Bend your knee, straighten the leg. And you're looking for your knee to be roughly over your ankle. You don't want it to go over the toes. So if you're like me, I'm noticing my stance a little bit short. I could probably go a little bit deeper in there. Good, and then this time I want you to hold, and I want you to place your hands onto your hips. So we're in a warrior two position, really strong on the legs. And if that feels okay for you, I want you to bring your arms up to shoulder height. Now I want those arms to be really purposeful. Imagine someone's got hold of both of your middle fingers and they're pulling you softly and gently in opposite directions. And your shoulders are still directly over your hips. Your tailbone's drawing under, the front of the pelvis is opening, and make sure that knee is tracking over the middle toe. And if that's good for you, you can turn and look at your right hand. So you want to have a slight sensation like the navel is drawing towards the spine, and you're gently lifting your tailbone forwards and up. Good, and then straighten that front leg. Allow your arms to come down. So we're going to do that on the other side. Right foot turns in, left foot turns out. Check the heels are in line. Make sure your hips are facing forwards, and then bending into that left knee and straightening the leg. Bending, straightening. Move your hands onto your hips. You might want to have a peek. Make sure the knee is tracking over the toe. Tendency be here, the knee tracks in, which then puts a lot of strain on the knee. Or it might track outwards, in which case it will lift the inner arch of your foot up. So you want it to go straight to the side and back. Okay, so this time we're going to hold it. So again, just check that knee's nice and stable. It's drawing back behind you. So the knee's in line with the second toe, roughly. My hips are still facing forwards. They haven't turned. So we're nice and facing forwards. My shoulders are still over my hips. And if that feels good for you, take your arms out to shoulder height. Imagine someone gently drawing your hands in opposite directions. That engages all the muscles through the arms. Strong warrior arms, looking at your left hand. And breathe. Make sure the shoulders are relaxed and down. You're not squeezing tension up. And enjoy. If you want to, you can also lift the toes here. Again, make sure you've got those arches lifted. Feel all the muscles of the legs engaging. Good, and then straightening the front leg, take the hands to the hip, turn that left foot in, and turn the right toes in a little bit. So we're in a wide leg forward bend, and you're going to bend your knees and allow yourself to come forward. Now, if you've got a block or a cushion, you might want to have it in front of you so you can rest on it. You can see again, I've naturally gone to a bent knee position just to allow my back to release fully. And I'm then going to reach out with my arms as long as I can. And I want you here to allow your bottom to go in the opposite direction. So my bottom's going towards the doors. My arms are reaching as far away as I can, and I'm allowing my head to be in line, or my ears to be in line with my arms. So this is a really good way of working a little bit deeper, but nice and safely. Keep drawing the navel towards your spine. Keep breathing nice and deep, in and out through the nose. And each couple of breaths, just see if you can lengthen your fingers forward, maybe a little bit more, but keep drawing the weight back through the heels in the opposite direction. And if you want to, you might want to straighten your legs if that feels good for you, but there's no pressure, you just work at your own pace. And then I want you to transfer your weight forwards. So you come to a much more even position between the front of your foot and the back of your foot. And this can feel a bit uncomfortable at first because you might have a sensation like you're going to fall forwards. Your hands are supporting you, and make sure you've got your weight in your feet. If that means you need to bend your knees a little bit more, then do. And then walk your hands in underneath you as much as you can. So again, for all of us, some of us might be here, some of us might have our knees bent, some of us might be on a block, doesn't matter where you are. Some of you might have a nice long spine, working the arms more and more underneath you, maybe your head going towards the mat. So find somewhere that feels good for you, where you can just really hang out here. And then to come out, we're going to bend our knees, take your hands to your waist, and inhale, I want you to roll up again. So the head comes up last. Good. And then step and turn back to the front of your mat. Okay, we're going to take one balance before we come back down to seated. So I want you to stand again with your feet hip distance apart. Lift up on the toes, connect your energy down through the earth, and transfer your weight over onto your left leg. So we're going to take a nice, easy tree pose. So just come up onto the toes of the right foot and allow the knee to turn out to the side. So for some of us, that might be enough today. If you're noticing you're more stressed or anxious than usual, balance can be first thing to go. So the key thing is just to check in and notice how you feel. Another tip is find something to keep your eye gaze on that's not going to move. And then if you want to, you can take your foot up to the shin, below the knee, or if you want to, you can take the foot above the knee. Okay, if you're going above the knee, I really recommend pushing your foot into the thigh and pushing your thigh into your foot. And then take your hands to prayer position. Shoulders are relaxed and down. If you're feeling really centered and want more of a challenge, you can close your eyes. Excuse me, I've got dry throat. Find your breath. Find your stillness. And remember, all strong trees blow around in the wind from time to time, so don't worry if you find yourself wobbling. And if you are feeling like you have more, you can take your arms up towards the ceiling. Just do whatever feels good for you. You might want to take your arms out to shoulder height, or keep them at prayer position. And then to come out, just slowly release that foot back to the floor. Shake the left leg out, shake the right leg out, and find your center again through your feet. So transfer the weight to the right leg. Come up onto the toes of the left foot. Just stay here for a moment. Ground into that right leg. It's doing all the work. Give it the respect it needs to support you. And then you choose if you want to work a little bit deeper. So I also find here, it's good when you are bringing the foot up higher, that you think about drawing your tailbone down and opening up the fronts of the hip. And that allows that knee to open up to the side a little bit more. Now remember, push the foot into the leg into the foot, and then you choose whatever hand-arm position feels good for you. I like staying here. Feels good for me. And just allow yourself to breathe. Great thing about being at home is if you are feeling a bit off balance and there's a wall nearby, mine's a bit far away, you might find a little bit of support by putting a hand on the wall. So just do what works for you. And then when you're ready to come out, just release that leg very softly back to the floor. Shake your legs out. Okay, so we're going to make our way back to seated. We're going to stand at the front of our mats and inhale. Take your arms wide, reach up. Just allow your gaze to look to your fingertips and exhale, forward fold. I'm bending my knees again. You can keep the legs straight if you want to. Take your hands towards the mat. And then your choice. You can come back onto your knees and come into all fours, or you can step back into a plank position and take a half vinyasa by bringing the knees down, coming down. Inhale into a cobra and exhale into child's pose. So if you come down onto your knees, just come and rest in child's pose. And then find your way back to seated. And you're going to allow your legs to extend out in front of you. So again, if you want to use a block or a cushion, I should have had them, but I haven't, so that's bad planning on my part. I want you to pop them underneath your bottom. What I do have though is a belt. So if you watch my intro video, I recommended that you have a belt nearby. You can use a dressing gown rope. And we're going to use that here. So we're going to draw our right knee up towards us. And we're going to allow the right knee to go down towards the floor. So we're going into Janu Sirsasana A. So this can feel uncomfortable as well. If you've got tight hips, you might find your knee stays quite high. So again, just support underneath that leg with cushions, blocks, whatever you've got, just so that leg can relax down so you're not holding that tension in your hip. So just allow that to relax down to the side. And then using your rope, wrap it around your foot, and then you've got a nice lever there to pull against to keep your spine nice and straight. So inhale, lengthen up through the spine, and that might be enough of a pose for you this evening. Or if you want to go a little bit further, exhale, start to come forwards. But I want you to come forwards with the chest, with the heart center leading. So not the head leading, so you end up arching the spine. I want you to lift from the chest, so the heart is leading the movement, like it's connected to your big toe coming forwards. And you can use your belt as much as you want to, but make sure you're not using the belt to create tension. Make sure the shoulders stay relaxed and down. It's just a little bit of extra pull there for you, if you can feel there's some space inviting you in. When you've gone as far as you can, just allow your head to relax down. If you're working a little bit more deeply, you can let that belt go completely. And you can choose whatever hand position feels good for you, resting the head wherever feels good for you. I'm going to stay here and breathe. And then when you're ready, inhale, coming back up, release the rope and allow that right knee to come back up. So we're going to take a twist again here. Two options. You can cross the right foot over the left to get a bit more of a deeper twist. If you aren't as open in the hips, you might find your right buttock wants to come off and you sway onto the left. I don't want you to do that. So if you can sit here nicely with both bottom cheeks down on the floor, great. If you can't, I want you to stay with the foot on the outside of the leg, okay? Sorry, inside of the right leg. And then you're going to wrap your left arm around the knee. So for some of us, we might just be holding here. For some of us, we might be able to wrap all the way around. And same like we did with our twist in the intro, I'm going to take my arm behind me. Now I'm looking back towards you, but you'll be looking straight ahead. I'm going to look straight ahead now. And notice how your rib cage spirals against the thigh as you take that right hand behind you. And see if you can use your left arm just to reach up and torque your torso round your thigh a little bit more. And then when you've gone as far as you can, just allow your head to turn and look over your right shoulder. You can always keep your head to center as well. Sorry, I've got my back to you, it's very rude. Keep breathing, keep lifting up through the spine. And for those of you who come to my classroom know, I always go about keep that left leg active, toes pointing up to the ceiling. It's not on holiday, splayed out to the side. It's working, it's active, it's supportive. You're rooting down into the earth. And then inhale, release your head back forward. Let your right arm follow. And then we're going to place that right foot back down onto the mat. And we'll do that all again on the other side. So left leg comes up. Allow the left knee to come out to the side. And then take hold of your belt. Wrap it round your foot. Make sure you're nice and aligned. So bottom is rooted down into the mat. I'm lifting up through my spine and my focus is heart center, like it's on a string connected to that big toe. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, just allow yourself to come forwards. When you've gone as far as you can, let your head go. Remember not to arch into the spine. I want you to really focus on lifting and opening the chest. Relaxing your breath. Rooting both sit bones down into the earth and feeling that space open up in that left hip. Good, and then inhale, coming back up. Release your belt and drawing that left knee back up towards you. Your choice, you can cross the left leg over the right, make sure that bottom stays down on the mat, or you keep the leg here. Wrap the right arm around the left and facing you this time so don't feel so rude. Let the left arm come around behind you, your face still pointing forwards. Then use that arm just to draw the thigh towards your ribs and allow your ribs just to float round against your thigh. And then taking your head round, shoulders relaxed and down. Looking over your shoulder. Right leg is active, right toes pointing up to the ceiling. Good, inhale, allow the head to turn back to center. Release your arm, release your leg, shake your legs out. Good, we're going to take one last seated pose before we come and lie down. So we're going to go into the cobbler's pose, Baddha Konasana. So we're going to draw feet together. And you can either hold round the feet, or you can open your feet up like a book. Okay, so again, this is really uncomfortable. If you hold a lot of tension in the hips, and as I've said already, there's a lot of stress, anxiety, tension more around now than for a long time, I think. So you might find you're even more tense here than normal. So just be easy with yourself and breathe into that space to release the hips. Use a block if you need to. You can use the blocks, cushions under your knees as well. Open your feet out like a book. And again, notice lifting the chest through the arms. So everything's active, lifting up towards the ceiling. And breathe. Drawing the navel towards your spine. Shoulders relaxed and down. And if you want to, option here to bring the chest even more forwards. Keep an eye out here for the sit bones. You want the bottom to stay firmly down on the mat. And just allow yourself. Now that puts, I'm really feeling that here today. Feeling a lot of tension there in my hips as I've come forwards. So I'm just noticing it, breathing with it. Conscious my shoulders might want to come into play, so just keeping them even more relaxed now and down. And actually, interestingly, as I've relaxed my shoulders, my hips have relaxed a bit more. So there's a bit more space inviting me in. So I'm not forcing the space. I'm asking if the space is there, and if it is, I'll move into it. If it's not, it'll be there another day. Good. Inhale, lengthen your spine back up towards the ceiling. And then bring your knees together and come and lie down on your mats. So we're going to go into relaxation soon. So I'd like to put on something warm. And there's a separate video for relaxation to talk you through, or I'm going to just do a brief one here if you prefer to stay with it in this video. So before we go into that, just allow yourself to lie down, bring your feet onto the mat, hip distance apart, arms down by your side, and we're just going to take a couple of bridge poses. So when you're ready, push down into your arms, connect down strongly into your feet, inhale, and you start to peel your spine off the mat. And I want you to imagine your tailbone is moving towards your knees. If you've got a block, it's sometimes really useful to pop it between your thighs, just so you get that sense of activating the adductor muscles, the inner thighs, and try and release as much tension as you can out of your bottom. Now that's easier said than done. We tend to hold tension there to try and lift the hips higher, but what we want to do is release the tailbone, because in yoga we're using this bend to get us ready for a wheel pose or a crab position. You might be familiar with it. So we just want to release the buttocks as much as we can. Connect into your feet, connect into your inner thighs, push down into your hands. And then exhale, lowering down. Allow your spine to uncurl slowly back towards the mat. Hopefully you've put on something warm. And when you touch down, just allow your right knee to come into your chest, your left knee to come into your chest. And gently rock from side to side. And as you come to settle for relaxation, just notice how your back feels. So if you've got any tension at all in your lower back, and it might release as you start to relax. Keep your knees together and keep your feet as wide apart as your mat. Allow your palms to face up to the ceiling. If you feel very comfortable, you might want to release your legs out, so we're in the full Shavasana pose. Just allow your feet to flop to the sides. Shoulders are relaxed. Palms facing up. So just stay here, closing your eyes if you haven't already. And I'm going to talk us through a nice relaxation. I'm going to sit up to do that. So if you've still got your eyes open, you might notice me pop up, but I'd like you to stay lie down. So just allow your breath to be easy. You might feel the need to allow the breath to come out through the mouth a few times as you exhale. And then starting at your toes, becoming aware of your toes, your feet, ankles, shins, calves, knees and thighs, as you relax. And allowing your awareness to come up into your buttocks, your hips, your pelvis, as you relax. Allowing your awareness to come up into your abdominal area, all the way up your spine, around your ribs, your chest, all the way up to your collarbones, into your shoulder blades as you relax. And allowing awareness to come down to your fingertips, palms and backs of your hands, your forearms, elbows and upper arms as you relax. Awareness drifting up into your throat and your neck, and up into your face, your chin, lips, teeth, tongue, nose, cheeks, eyeballs, eye sockets, eyelids, eyebrows, forehead, crown and back of your head. As you relax, just feel your whole body sinking, melting into the floor. And just stay here, relaxed, for as long as you want to. Namaste.